Yo, what's going on, everybody? This is Mike, and this is episode number 48 of the Serial at Night podcast, RetroGameFix.com. It's been a little while since I podcasted, actually July 20th of last year, I believe, but God of War came out, Labo came out, a whole bunch of other stuff came out. There's TV kerfuffles, some games coming out. We just, we want to have fun talking about games. And unlike my previous episodes, I actually brought a couple guests along with me tonight. My good buddies Tony and Kazum. And hey, Tony, how you doing?
Doing well. I've been personally enjoying God of War.
You have? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad that you're enjoying that. Kazum, what's going on with you?
Hey guys, thanks for having me, Mike. Man, I'm excited.
Right on.
God of War. I mean, definitely stuff to talk about that.
Awesome. So let's kick it off. Let's jam right into God of War. And so just to be clear, I don't know if you like, the game's been out for about a week and a week and a couple days. And so if you absolutely don't want to know anything about the game, I'd say turn the podcast off. I think we'll be talking about it pretty much in general. And so I think the plan here is to hit on our general feelings of God of War, and I think it's going to probably leak into a little bit of a discussion about game reviews. But let me start. So I started God of War, and I went to Twitter, and I was texting you guys nonstop. And I think that you're probably pretty used to me doing this, but I got into the game, and I was like, the game is fine, but I don't understand how it's a fucking a 10. And so, like, my immediate impression getting into it was like, I think this might be the greatest game I've ever seen visually, but it doesn't feel like, I'm just like, why? Like, jump in, but I just like, it feels like, okay, I can throw my axe, and then I can hit a button and my axe returns, and it just feels like the combat is just like boring and mundane to me, and I'm just like, I'm not feeling that per se. Like, I think the story's okay, and I think the graphics are awesome, and I think it's super engaging, but at the end of the day, I'm just like, all right, this feels like a cool spin on God of War. You know what I mean?
You know, this is my first God of War game. I've never played the previous ones. However, I've seen how they look. But from seeing the reviews that were a masterpiece, 9 out of 10, I mean, I was expected to be blown away. I mean, I had high expectations. When you start the game, I felt I was in love. I mean, it looked amazing. It sounded amazing. The gameplay seemed amazing. But as it progressed, I'm about 20 hours into the game right now. Story-wise, I almost don't feel like this game really has a story.
Because you texted me and you were like, I think the story's kind of lame up to this point. And I was like, every time I turn around, I can't get over the fact that he keeps saying, come here, boy this, boy that. I'm like, come on, dog. Like, what
There's actually a funny montage about that.
Yeah, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
And
like,
calling him sir, like, okay, yep.
Yeah,
I feel like some of that stuff is played out where it's like, oh, you should tell him who you are, or it's like, come, like, really, like, you're trying to force a situation, a scenario where he's gonna probably find out, but it's like, just tell him, for God's sakes. And the way he's acting towards his dad is like calling him sir every time. It's like, really? It just doesn't feel right.
Well, it was weird because, like, when I went in and I saw the reviews, and so once I started to see, like, it get 10 after 10 after 10 after 10, I steered pretty far kind of clear of reading anything about it. And in fairness, I haven't beat the game, but I played enough of it to get the shtick and going, like, this looks great and it's actually super fun, but, I'll beat it. I don't have this, like, huge connection. You know what I mean? Like Tony, you just started. How many God of War games did you play, Tony? Did you play them all? Because I played most of them.
I played all of them. I didn't play, like, the mobile and, like, the,
PSP ones.
PSP, or whatever. I didn't play those. I played the core games.
It's like, how do you feel? How do you feel, like, about the changes, about the new perspective? Because you sounded like you were a little worried going in about, like, the camera and everything like that.
So, like, that was my biggest gripe with the original trilogy, is the fixed camera angles. It pissed me off. It ruined gameplay for me. It it completely disconnected me from the game. You know, from a story perspective, they're great, but like from a gameplay, it just ruined it. Like they were awful in my opinion. So when getting that over the shoulder, like third person camera, free roaming camera was marvelous.
So you didn't like
loved it.
You didn't like any of the fucking original God of Wars?
Those camera angles literally ruined it for me.
Okay. Like some of those, I loved those games, but like that just, you know.
From a hack and slash perspective, yeah, they're fun, you know? But I don't know. Like there were too many times that the camera angles were just terrible. I couldn't see enemies. I was just getting annoyed and frustrated for no reason that could have been solved by, you know, having a free camera. It was just like, I don't know why the hell they did that.
So,
and it just...
So I get all that, but then like you go into this new God of War game and it's... So here's where I'm having the biggest struggle. And I've said this to you guys many, many times. For me, everything feels like Uncharted, God of War, Uncharted, Horizon Zero Dawn, Uncharted, The Last of Us. Like, I get into the game, and it's super cinematic, and the game looks awesome, and they adjusted the camera angle, but the combat and the battle systems, and it just all feels like the same game to me, and I think people are like, that's bullshit, it's totally different, and I'm like, is it? Like, is it really different? I don't know.
I mean, for me, like, I'd put graphically the game's a 10. Gameplay, I'd honestly put it at a 10 again. Like, they really outdid themselves on those two standpoints. The story, probably give it a 8 or a 9. But like, I think they found a good formula for the game going forward.
Yeah,
I really do. Like,
I have to stop you. I mean, I know you're about you're in the early steps of the game, but for an 8 or a 9 for the story, to me, it's a 5. Only because once you, I guess I don't want to ruin it, but like once you find out what you're playing for, you're like, really? And
I know some of things. Like I know about.
Okay. Well, hold on. Let me say this. Obvious. Let me say this because I know this is going to come. I know I'm going to get tweets about this once this podcast posts. I do want to say that I think so far all of us probably actually think it's a great game, but like this is all relative to the fact that like everybody is like fucking masterpiece. This is a fucking masterpiece, and I'm just sitting here going.
And that's right.
You know what I'm saying? And so it's like if it sets that expectation, I'm going like, okay, I'm going to play this game and I'm going to draw my own opinions about it, regardless of what everybody else thinks it is. Because I see this group think and I'm going like, all right, let me play this thing and figure it out. So anyway, sorry to jump in, Cosmo. You're going.
No, so when I compare a great game, right? So when I played Persona 5, with the first Persona game I ever played, that game, when I got done, from the time I got done playing to when I had to go to work, all I can think about is I can't wait to go home so I can continue playing.
Yeah, I kept telling you need to play Persona.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, but to me, that's what makes a great game. Like, from the moment you only stop because you have to, where you have other things to do that come in the way, whether it's sleep or go to your job or whatever, right? And when I'm at work, like I wanted, and as soon as I played it, I kept wanting to tell people to play this game because of how great it is. Because I knew people
with
who
Persona.
were fans of. And that's the thing. That was my first Persona game, and that's what makes a great game. When I played God of War, sure, it's a great game, and because I did play a lot. I mean, when I start playing it, I play for a while until I'm ready to pass out. However, once I'm done playing, I'm not like oh my god, I can't wait to continue to find out what's going to happen next. I always have to force myself. Okay, I need to continue playing because if I take too long, I might never continue this game. But once I do start it, I do have a lot of fun. The gameplay is a lot of fun. The graphics, I think it's a 9.5. Like it looks amazing. It definitely does. But in the end, graphics aren't everything. I love amazing graphics, but that's not something I want to say, oh, the graphics are amazing. But
I guess I could. Sorry.
No, and one other thing is like once there's a certain point in the game where you kind of figure out like, okay, this is what's going to be happening. Like there's a formula. Like you go do this, and that's what ends up happening. And then I'm like, ugh, really? So I don't know. That's further into the game where you're gonna figure out what you really have to do.
Well, I mean, I guess if I were to gripe a little bit, like if you compare God of War to Horizon Zero Dawn, for instance, you can tell the difference in the way they form the world. So if you look at like God of War, things start to blur at distances to keep frame rates up, versus Horizon Zero Dawn used that cone. They used a cone in front of you and de-rendered the rest of the world behind you. So like I noticed that little bit of a difference because that was something that was really piqued my interest in Horizon Zero Dawn. So I mean, I guess I could. You can make the argument for that and knock graphics. I think down it's to like a 9.5, but I mean, I still think it's up there.
Yeah, the thing for me though with graphics, right, is like when we're talking about like consoles specifically, I'm not super interested in the techniques that they use to keep frame rate up while still keeping like the focal point looking fantastic. I mean, if you were to ask me what game looks better, Horizon Zero Dawn or God of War, I got to be honest with you, I'd probably actually say Horizon Zero Dawn looks better, but it doesn't. I don't know if it has anything to do with the rendering as much as some of the as much as the art style and some of the other things. But like that's but if you were to put a gun to my head, I'd say they're both a 9. Like graphics wise, they're both a 9.5 or a 10.
Right.
They're fucking phenomenal graphically, but like. Graphically, like my biggest thing is going into this game, and this is where like I read reviews and I listen to a lot of podcasts, and I come into these things, and I've on Twitter like have had a lot of shit to say about like how video game reviews work. But my biggest thing coming into this was going like, oh my god, this actually sounds like the game that's going to change kind of games moving forward. This is a masterpiece, or I heard the words master class used many times. So I went into this thing going like, god damn, this is going to do something that I have never experienced before. There's going to be some shit that's crazy to me here that I just cannot, like Cosm, like you said, like I can't wait to get back to. And then I got into it and I was like, oh, this is a really, really, really fun game. This is a great game that I love playing. But I was like, This isn't anything that we haven't experienced already. Like, it's a really great looking game that has really fun combat. And, like, I gotta be honest with you, I would probably say Horizon Zero Dawn's a better game and does more technically than God of War does. Okay,
well, I'm gonna interject here for a second. So, you've got the God of War franchise. It's already been built. We're kind of comparing apples to oranges. I mean, Horizon Zero Dawn's a brand new IP.
Yes.
It was, revolutionizing a lot of, things there. And we're kind of comparing something that has a background. So, with God of War, I think, between the previous games and these reviews coming out, I guess your expectation was set too high. I came into it thinking, hey, they've finally redone things. I might actually enjoy one of these games for once. So that's kind of the way I came into it. And, at first I wasn't even going to buy the game until it dropped in price.
That's a fair point. And let me, and here again, we're talking about two games that rated like phenomenal, right? Horizon is 89 on Metacritic right now. I think God of War is something like 94 or something like that. So we're splitting hairs talking about great games, and I get that. Like I get that. Also, God of War kind of redefined itself as a game, especially for people that maybe didn't play it. But like, yeah. I don't know. I'm just like, and maybe I'm getting old, and you guys said this to me in text. You're like, maybe you're getting old and just don't like gaming anymore. And I don't think it's that, but I think when this generation hit, there was so many big promises about what they're going to be able to do with new hardware. And then we found out via the Xbox One X and the PlayStation 4 Pro that, oh, maybe we need better hardware. And I'm still not seeing games gameplay wise. Still not seeing anything gameplay wise that is vastly different from the PS3. You know what I'm saying?
Yep, you know, graphically, I think we're fine. The reason I'm saying fine is because instead of trying to improve the graphics, I'd rather have them spend time making better gameplay or better story, right? There's nothing wrong with the graphics we have right now. It's sure, of course, we want better graphics, but by them spending all their budget and time on improving the graphics, games get rushed, like the disaster that I think that happened with Final Fantasy 15. Things are getting rushed.
Those might be fighting words for Tony.
Those are fighting words.
We might need to, we might need to touch on that
for that incomplete of a game. But anyways, Royal Edition. Woo. But
I got the $300 edition.
Yeah.
Anyway.
That's another topic.
Hold on, Cosm. Let me interject real quick because you're talking about games being rushed. God of War wasn't rushed though.
It was no, correct, and that's what I'm trying to say is I'm good at the graphics the way it is now, but there's so many games where they're like, oh, they ran out of time and stuff. So I don't want to have them try to improve graphics and pay more attention.
15 wasn't rushed, bud. It took 10 years.
Yeah, no, I think
how was that rushed?
So hold on, no, finish your thought, Cosm, because I think I know where you're going, but I want to say something else because I think
it just said I'm fine with the way graphics are now. It just I feel like. And I get it, and I just feel like there needs to be more about the gameplay and the story compared to graphics. I'll have you go.
Yeah, so let me. Well, no, I have a question because this is something I've been asking myself. Is like, and it's not our job to figure out what that new thing is, but like, part of me is struggling to say now that we've moved into 3D games, super immersive graphics, like we're technically speaking graphics wise, like there's not much more that we can really ask for to go, what could they do gameplay wise to make this thing, like not even God of War. And I want to get back to God of War, but like what else is there? Like, cause Batman seemed to basically get the combat system perfect. And then you go like, okay, well what's next gameplay wise? Like we've got VR, we've got every genre that does things different. And like, I always argue, well, we've got to review the game on its own merits. And I try to do that with things like God of War. But like for God of War, I'm going like, well, I don't know. It just doesn't feel like a 10 to me. But I don't know what I would actually consider a 10 anymore. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's hard coming up with something new or improving. Well, I'll go back to Persona 5, right? It's a JRPG turn-based game. I've been playing turn-based games since the 90s.
You've played more turn-based games, I think, and maybe Tony, you too. I think like I didn't play turn-based games, and I loved Persona, but I think both of you probably played more JRPGs than me from all time. Like I think Cosmo, you were about to say, but all Final Fantasy and shit.
And that's the thing. They found a way to make a turn-based game work in the newer generation, and also grab the attention of gamers who don't play JRPGs or even turn-based games. And so the gameplay was very similar to the older games, but they found ways to tweak it and optimize things. It's not like, oh, let's come up with something completely new. Like they found a way to make it work really well. And every time you had to get an ability or you felt like, holy cow, like this was amazing. Like I felt like you earned it and it was worth it. Like that game, like I can go into depth with that game, but
well, maybe we should. But so in relation to God of War, though, like
I don't think God of War improved any gameplay from a current game right now. I don't think they improved from Horizon Dawn. Horizon Zero Dawn, I feel like, had way more gameplay abilities that you could do and different ways to fight. God of War, it's good, but I don't think they made anything that, oh my god, like holy crap, the way you fight. Like I've been grinding like crazy doing all these side missions, and it is getting repetitive now, and I'm kind of getting worried because I'm like, there's nothing new. Like, well, what can you give me that's new? Maybe I haven't gone far enough, but maybe, and that's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping something changes where I'm like, okay, here's another element brought into the play now, and I'm not doing the same thing.
Tony, how do you feel on that?
Sorry, what? Are you talking about Persona still?
No,
gameplay of Persona?
Taking a big ass rip from the bong. Got fucking Cypress Hill playing and another pair of headphones. No,
I give you 1 minute of silence.
No, we were asking as far as God of War goes in relation to its ability to like do something new and keep you engaged, right? Like in comparison to Horizon Zero Dawn, we talked about Horizon Zero Dawn a lot, and you were like, it does this, it does this, it does this, it's amazing. Are you getting that same feeling from God of War? Because here's the thing for me. Cosmo, when you talk about Persona, you had never played a Persona game before, and you're like, this is fucking amazing. So you're kind of getting that first Persona experience that we've all kind of...
And I'll add on to that, but this is my first God of War game as well.
Yeah.
So
okay, it is.
This is my first God of War game, and I've seen gameplays of the previous one, how it looks like a hack and slash, which is what I was worried about. So this is my first experience of God of War, and I'm not like, I'm liking it, but I'm not like wowed the way I was with Persona.
Tony, what do you think? So as far as your first experience with God of War, all things considered, it sounds like you are like, this is still an amazing, like it's an amazing game. I think we all agree on that.
Right.
But
and I think it's a great improvement over the old games.
Yeah,
I think.
And you played those and were like, well, they're okay. But does this feel like revolutionary to you, or just like, oh, this is a really fucking great game?
If you were talking like old series to the new game, revolutionary. Otherwise, if I'm just taking it as a standalone game, it's a really great game.
Right.
I don't know if I would call it a masterpiece, but it's definitely, I am feeling a lot really happy, that I have the gameplay that I do in that game, and their story isn't that hidden, especially if you played the games in the past.
Yeah.
So I know that the Blades of Chaos are going to come. Kratos is going to get them at some point. I know I haven't gotten them there. I'm assuming they're just in the house where you hid your son in the early stages of the game. I have no idea.
You're going deep. I know.
But
let's dial on.
I'm saying is I have no idea. I haven't reached that far. I'm only a few hours into the game, but playing the old games, going to the new one, you can kind of foresee certain things coming. He's trying to hide his past from his son.
Hold on. So here's the thing. I just want to jump in real quick because we're getting hypothetical, but we've all played the game. So if there's anyone listening that hasn't played the game, we're doing hypotheticals right now. I just want to make sure that people have time to like turn it down. We're talking God of War. Go ahead, Tony. I'm sorry. I just want to make sure that for anybody that's listening, as we go hypothetical, playing back games, yada, yada, yada. I didn't mean to jump in, but I know how it drives me nuts on games. So I just wanted to make sure that people have ample time to just get off the podcast if they don't want to hear the hypotheticals.
And, obviously, if he's the son of Kratos, he's going to be part god at least. So, that's alluded to by his sickness. I have no idea what actually is causing his sickness.
Yeah, but you can, but playing those games, you can make that, like, those are like the assumptions, and I think this is going to segue nice into our Zelda conversation in a minute, because a lot of these tropes that you're mentioning are the same tropes that come in with the Zelda game, but at least God of War has a fucking story that they're going to tell you, right?
Right, and, like, I don't know how the game's going to end. It could end, this could all be setting up for, Kratos to die, and you take over playing as Kratos' son. So you have no idea what they're doing with the story yet, or at least I have no idea. So I'm trying to figure out how that's going to play out. Right. I honestly can't wait to get to the end of the game to find out if that's how it's going to play out or how, what's going to happen.
Right.
A question about the story thing, right? Is this God of War supposed to be is this a reboot? Or are they trying to make it a reboot, like start a whole thing? Or
they're not it's not a reboot. It's not a reboot.
Oh, yeah.
Hello?
Hey.
Oh, Tony, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, something cut out. All right.
Oh, yeah, someone just dropped out.
Oh, okay, I got you. Right on. Keep going.
But I guess that's what I was wondering, if it was a reboot or if they're trying to make a reboot. But I guess one thing I will mention though is, if they came out with the reviews saying that, hey, this is a 9 out of 10, a great, outstanding game, or just a great game, I've been okay. And the reason I'm going to talk about this is because you brought up Zelda, right?
Yep.
The only Zelda game I ever played was Ocarina of Time a long time ago, never beat it.
Yeah.
So I hadn't played a Zelda game in forever. I could almost say that I never played a Zelda game.
Hold on, let's. I want to put a fork in this one because I want to roll into Zelda in a minute. I know it's relevant, but let's put a bow on the God of War stuff and say some good shit about it first, and let's roll into Zelda.
I've been saying good shit about it the whole time.
No, we all have, because I kind of pivot. I want to close out the God of War things with 2 conversations, and then I definitely want to jump into Zelda. I just don't want to like mix it up too much here, because I know we all have, like, Cosm, not to interrupt, but like we all have huge opinions on Zelda. Like, this is the instance where I think that we all can say we think God of War is a great game. Where with Zelda, I think we're going to say that fucking thing got 10s and none of us think it's actually a great game.
With God of War, I'll say that if you have a PS4, it's a must-buy.
Yeah, it's a must-buy.
Right. Definitely.
Yeah.
So let me read. I'm gonna troll a little bit. Let me read you a couple things about God of War. There was a couple reviews that came out that rated the game a 7.5. And everybody on N4G, and I know it's kind of a trolly forum comment section, were like, this is all clickbait. And so I want to read a couple things that were said in relation to, now 7.5 technically, as far as game reviews goes, is actually supposed to be a good review. Like, as far as Rotten Tomatoes goes, like a site that's like legitimately like pretty well respected as far as like should you watch a movie or shouldn't watch a movie, is based on favorable or not favorable, right? And so as far as video game reviews go, basically every fucking game would be a fucking tomato, because every game rates at least a 7. Like, literally almost every game rates a 7. And so somebody said, in relation to God of War, narratively and graphically, the game is at, because actually, let me actually phrase it this way. I have to be honest. So I said this. I have to be honest. I do not understand the Masterpiece 10s. It certainly, I certainly enjoy it, but mechanically and story-wise, it's not doing anything that hasn't been done before. The visuals are amazing. I think it's a great game. However, I'm not seeing the universal 10. That was my comment on N4G. In response, I got a comment that said, narratively and graphically, the game is at Naughty Dog level, if not better. I can agree with you on scores, but a 7.5 is a joke. To that, I have to say, narratively, this is on a Naughty Dog level. Like, narratively, there is no narrative to the game so far as I'm concerned, as far as God of War. Come on, boy. Boy, read this. Boy, follow me. Boy. Like, I'm like, oh my God, I just want to fucking turn it. Like, I'm like, let's get back to the combat. I don't even want to listen to it any longer.
Can I interject for a second?
Yeah, sorry, I was ranting, but I'm like, God damn.
Yeah. But I mean, like, I'm gonna agree with you there. Like, it is not a. Sorry about that.
I know you got food coming. I forgot to say it. Do we need to take a quick...
That's what that was.
Yeah,
so,
finish your thought, and then we'll take a quick pause.
Okay, so what I was saying is, like, comparing it to Naughty Dog, like, if you try and compare it to, like, The Last of Us or the Uncharted series, like, I think you're smoking something.
But this motherfucker said narratively it's on the level of Naughty Dog, if not better. I'm like, who the hell... what game did you play?
Yeah, I have no idea what the hell they're smoking, because like, if we want to talk like Last of Us or Uncharted, those have great stories, and like, honestly, that's probably the one thing that God of War is seeming to lack a little bit on.
Yeah. Those games, you could have someone. I've had people watch me beat the whole game because they're just so engaged with like Uncharted 4 or Last of Us, but this one, no ways.
No way. Yeah. All right, so how about we take a quick break, Tony? You can grab your food, and then we'll reconvene.
Great.
All right, so that quick break is up for anybody listening. Sorry. It was more like 10 minutes on our end, but anyway, so we're talking about the comments that I had on N4G, and we were talking about narratively and graphically Naughty Dog level, if not better. Knock that one out. And so I started to... So anyway, somebody commented and said, everyone is entitled to their opinions, but I'm a little confused, or I'm a bit confused a little bit. Why should games do something new to be good? I see people say things like that a lot, and it makes no sense to me. And my response is, and so this was legitimately my response is, I said, I don't think they need to do anything new all the time. I also said it's a great game. I really enjoyed it, but in order to be a 10, it should be cohesively one of the greatest games of all time, which these scores are indicating. In this example, I don't think it's one of the greatest games of all time. I think it's a great game. The reviews I've read do not seem to align with what I've played, although it comes together nicely. What I'm missing something about the masterpiece. And I said, in the example of God of War, we aren't talking about games that need to do something new to be good. We're talking about a game that's essentially being said it's a masterpiece. And so what I'm trying to say is, I don't think games need to do something new to be good. But if a game is being called a masterpiece, don't you go into it expecting something revolutionary? Because 10s don't get handed out very often.
You know,
or am I way off base? Like, I just go into a 10 thinking like, oh, what the fuck? This is a 10?
I mean, from the perspective of if you were to compare it against the old series, it is revolutionary. It was earth-shattering. It was a huge change, you know, in this game.
Yeah.
So I guess from that perspective, you know, it is groundbreaking, because if they were to just continue and make like a God of War 4, you know, well, I mean, this is it. But if they were just to continue, you'd still have those crappy camera angles. Yeah, you might have better graphics, but it would just be the same old bullshit that you would hate.
Well, yeah, true.
I would hate.
True. But we're not. But my argument is, we're not. Who gives a shit about the old games? Review this game as a game. Forget the other games exist, other than maybe some of the lore. Like, are we saying that game reviews are relative to the previous games, or are we reviewing? Because if game reviews are relative to the previous games, who's to say that game reviews aren't relative to every fucking game? Which puts us in like this huge conundrum of like, game reviews shouldn't be relative because they all do something good. Like, nobody says, you know, Men in Black 2 is a 10 because, or you know what I'm saying? Like, because the first one was an X. I'm just trying to say, like, if I hear a game is a 10, I don't give a shit what the game is or the history of the game. If I hear a game is 10, I go like, that thing transcends gaming and I need to experience it, especially if it's universally a 10. Like, that just, do you know where I'm coming from?
Yeah, and like, since you brought up a movie, right? Me and Tony just got done watching Infinity War. To me, that movie was the best superhero movie of all time.
Yeah.
I'd give that a 10. And that has nothing to do with the previous Marvel movies, even though all those were really good. But this movie by itself is a 10.
And I wouldn't rank it the best out of the Marvel films, so I wouldn't give it a 10 personally. But I mean, it was a very well done movie.
Right.
So
and that's what I'm saying, though. As far as movies go, we can have this. As far as movies go, we can have this conversation. As far as movies go, we can look at Rotten Tomatoes and say the percentage on Rotten Tomatoes is like favorable reviews versus non-favorable reviews. But when it comes to games, in Metacritic, everything is on this out of 10 table where everything literally is almost like a 7 or higher. Right? So Tony, did you like Avengers?
Infinity War?
Yeah.
Yeah, I loved it. It was a great movie, but it wasn't my favorite. It wasn't my favorite out of the MCU.
I got you. But what I'm trying to say is, as far as IMDb goes, that's Rotten Tomatoes goes, that's a tomato. Right? And so, as far as God of War goes, God of War would probably be 190 to 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. But what I'm saying is, there's no, like, for God of War, there's none of this, like, you can't, when you're actually judging a game on a very specific rating system, if you say a game is a 7 out of 10, people go, oh my god, that's just fucking clickbait, a 7 out of 10. Where on Rotten Tomatoes, you say, you don't put a number on it, you just said, I really liked the game, and people are like, oh, that's cool, right on. God of War on Rotten Tomatoes is a 99 out of 100 on Rotten Tomatoes. I'd love to play that game. But in the gaming community, if you say a game is a 7 out of 10, people are like, oh my God, get out of here. Fuck you. You don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, you see where I'm coming from? And like that kind of narrative bothers the hell out of me when it comes to video game reviews. Like I feel like people should be able to say like, this game, I enjoyed this game a lot, but it's a 7 out of 10. But if you say that on the internet, people are like, fuck off, you clickbait asshole. You know what I'm saying?
So aren't most game reviews done by like a single editor? Like that single editor will play through the game and then review it.
Yes.
And then that's its score.
Yes.
There isn't a multiple people doing it and reviewing and cross-checking to get that score. It is one person's opinion.
Absolutely. And I'm fine with that.
So you got to take any game review with a grain of salt. Like you just like
100% agree. Sorry to jump in. Let me re-clarify. When it comes to Metacritic, though, and I see, let me read these statistics, because all of us were just saying that we all played God of War, and we all think it's a great game at any different interval that we're in. But I'm looking at Metacritic right now, and God of War.
There are hundreds all over. I'm looking at it right now. So I clicked like the critics, the based on 105 critics. So the overall is 94.
There's 100.
The cordless revolution has arrived with 40 volts.
Ad to start playing. So here's 105 critics have reviewed God of War. There is
37.
There is only one. There is out of 105. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 out of 105 under a 90. Where when it comes to IMDb, for example, there could be basically it's like 50% or greater gets a favorable review, right? So they're like, yeah, it was a great movie, go see it. It was okay, go see it. Yeah, I really liked it, go see it. When it comes to God of War, I gotta be honest with you, only fucking 10% of people feel the same way that we do, because we're 3 people on the same podcast, and I know more than just you 3 people that feel the same way about God of War, that say, it's a really great game. I still don't know anybody that says, it's a fucking 10. You see where I'm coming from on these game reviews? Like, come on now. 95, 95, 95, 95, 97, 97, 97, 98, 98, 98, 99, 100, 100, 100, 100, 100, 100, 100, 100. I can't even say.
37. There's 3,700.
37 fucking 100s? Like, that tells me game reviews are a fucking joke, is what that tells me. 100, 100, 100. I hate that shit.
To me, giving 100 or a 10 out of 10 is you have to be careful. Like 10 is perfect.
Well, it's not. It doesn't mean it's perfect. It's never meant it's perfect.
I mean, I could breach into one thing. When I'm on a weird side. My favorite JRPG is Chrono Cross, and it was given a 10 out of 10, and everyone blew up because it beat Chrono Trigger.
Yep.
And everyone seems to think Chrono Trigger is the better game, and where I'm
but they're not relative.
I seem to be the minority that thinks Chrono Cross is the best JRPG.
Right, but this is the problem
exist.
though. But it's not relative. None of it's relative, right? What I'm trying to get at, 36% of reviewers of this game gave it a 10. Are you fucking kidding me? Because we have 3 people right now on a podcast saying this isn't a 10, and everybody I know that have played the game are like, it's a great game, but it's not a 10. Like, this is where I'm saying, where the video game industry needs to mature a bit on its fucking review scores. Because, again, movies, it's not 9 out of 10, 8 out of 10, la 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 la. It's like, is it good or bad? And if it's good, that's the percentage that's calculated into Rotten Tomatoes. Rotten Tomatoes 99 out of 100 doesn't mean everybody averaged a 99%. It means 99% of people said this is a great fucking movie. But when it comes,
and it's very rare for a movie to get a 99 or like over 95% on Rotten Tomatoes, or even on IMDb. I mean, that's you're at if you're asking for
because people can have opinions when it comes to movies without being shit on for having a different opinion. But in video games, my God, if you say a game is a 7.5 out of 10, God of War, for example, people are like, fuck this guy, he doesn't know what he's talking about. When the truth is, I've probably played more video games than 90% of the people that fucking listen to this podcast or even are alive today. And so, like, why? Because I don't think God of War is a 10. My opinion isn't, but I still think it's probably an 8.5. Like, my opinion doesn't mean shit. Like, that's where I'm like, what is wrong with video game reviews? You know what I mean? And that's not to say that I don't, like, you could flip that on me and say, but Mike, now you're trying to say that these people's reviews are bullshit because 37 people said it was a 10. And I'm saying I think video game reviews are groupthink, and I think they fucking I don't, other than this podcast right now, I've not heard a podcast that had the conversation about God of War like we just had. I didn't hear a conversation that even happened like the conversation we just had where people were even remotely willing to critique the game. And that's why I think video game reviews are bullshit. Right.
I think they need to take a step down and take it easy. Either they're desperate, where like, oh my God, we haven't had a decent game in a while, it's been a while since we had even a decent game, so they're comparing it to the last year or 5 years since there was a good game out, so we have to give this a 10. But I just think overall you shouldn't rate a game a 10, and if you do, it's really got to be out there. And I felt the same. And there was a game.
Here's a good segue. Let's segue, because I think the good example. And Cosmos, go where you were going to go, but we're going to Zelda next.
Oh yeah, definitely, because that's exactly where I'm going to go. So that's one game where I was like so hyped for. I unsubscribed from myself from everything, but when the day it came out, I mean, I saw 10s. I saw nothing below a 10. I don't think I found a single 9 the day it got released. And I was just like, oh my God, this is going to be the best game of all time. I mean, I hadn't played a Zelda game since Ocarina of Time. I was so hyped for this game. And there's many people, and I looked at many critics, the ones who are usually really strict as well, like Angry Joe, but everyone was 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10. And I'm like, this is going to be amazing. And then Zelda happened, and then you can go more into detail if you want.
Well, no, but this is where when I say it comes to video game reviews, I want some consistency, because on one hand, we can sit here and argue for God of War, but then on the other hand, we all are going to shit on Zelda. And I actually, like, Zelda to me was like a 5, right? And this is where, like, I hold myself and go, like, I like the games I like, I don't like the games I like, but I'm not going to say Zelda's great and God of War is great. Like, I feel like if you are critically reviewing something, that you can't, for Zelda specifically, I feel like people went, well, it had its shortcomings, and there were these shortcomings, but the positives overcame the shortcomings. And I was like, yo, those shortcomings were bullshit. And if you're a critic, then you can't just ignore the shortcomings because you're a fan of Zelda. That's not being a critic, that's being a fan. Right. You know what I'm saying? You see where I'm coming from?
There's no way you can give a game a 10 if you're saying there's a shortcoming.
Like, do you want to? And that's the problem that I have with the gaming media as a whole, is it seems like they pick and choose when they're going to review a game as a fan and when they're going to review a game as a critic. Because when it comes to Nintendo, games are held to a way lower standard on what they hand out 10s for. Mario Odyssey, phenomenal fucking game. A 10? No. It's not a fucking 10. It's a collectathon. It's a really fun collectathon. Is it a 10? No. But they're like, oh, it's Nintendo. Fucking Nintendo figured out how to do something super fun. Give them a 10. Zelda, they're like, oh, Nintendo did an open world? Zelda's a fucking 10. Oh my god, you can put two things together? You can put peppers together? And you can put apples together? No, I'm not even bullshitting. I'm gonna get heated here, and y'all can jump in. No. In Zelda, they're like, you can put apples together and peppers together, and you can make fire apples. And I'm like, did y'all not fucking play Skyrim? For example, hold on, I'm gonna go on my rant. About Zelda.
Do it up.
Here's the fucking thing. Assassin's Creed, right? Everybody rips on Assassin's Creed. Here's another Assassin's Creed where you fucking climb towers. But when it comes to Zelda, people are like, oh my god, they got these towers you climb, and then it unlocks the map? And I'm like, that shit's been happening since the beginning of freaking time in Ubisoft games, and all you do is bitch about it. But when it comes to goddamn Zelda, all of a sudden climbing towers are great, and then they're like, oh my god, these fucking world puzzles, oh, and then it's this overworld, it's so good. But then all of a sudden, like any other game, like all Zelda is a fucking mild ripoff of every game. Like, the weapons breaking, every time my fucking weapon broke, I just wanted to stab myself in the dick. Like, I was just,
Sure.
Like, why did my weapon break? Well, go pick up another tree branch. Why am I even fighting with a fucking tree branch to begin with? I'm fucking Link.
Fighting with a skeleton's leg, and then you have to throw that shit away.
and then it's like, oh my god, I am actually getting upset about how much I just think that game is bullshit. Like, the entire game's bullshit.
That weapon breaking system made me just throw my damn controller just straight on the ground, and I was just like, fuck this, I'm done.
But then in Zelda, or Link, or however, the fucking Nintendo game, they're like, what's a great design decision? Because they just want you to use other weapons. But in any other game, if any other game did that, people would be like, fuck this game. But not if it's a Nintendo game. People are like, that's a great design decision.
I don't feel like it was because of a Nintendo game.
Probably not. I'm getting on my... Probably not.
Well, no. Part of it true, but what I kind of felt like was, after the Wii U, I feel like the Wii U failed, even though I loved it. I had no issues with the Wii U, but I didn't get it on release. I waited like 2-3 years. I feel like Nintendo was in such a bad spot where people wanted Nintendo to succeed so bad. They wanted them to succeed. And I feel like they felt bad for Nintendo.
Yeah.
And the fact that Zelda was okay, good game. And yeah, like you said, it copied elements from whatever we already have, nothing new. And all this, hey, and it's open world now. Oh my god, guys, this game is open world, and let's give it a 10 out of 10 masterpiece. Because let's bring Nintendo back in the game. They've been out for a while. We need to make them relevant again.
2007 called as a fucking open world game.
Can we just discuss the black sheep here in the room? Like, let's look at Nintendo's track history. Every time they need to come up on top, they just reboot their franchises, and everyone just dies for them. I don't understand how or why. Like, Nintendo doesn't do anything new. They really don't. They just keep rebooting Mario, Zelda, and so forth. They just don't give a shit, because everyone just drives and goes and buys whatever the fuck they have, and will suck on their tit until the end of time. It's like, Nintendo needs to branch out. They like fucking lost all their third party.
And they lost that with N64, so that's been since fucking like 97.
Right, but like, instead of trying to actually, I'd say they had a lot of third-party games on the GameCube. Anyway,
true.
I'm just saying, is like, instead of investing and trying to get with these third-party developers again, they're just fucking like, let's go do this again.
I don't even care about the third-party developers that much, though, as much as, like, I just don't understand where were all these people on the Wii U? Like, with Zelda? Would Zelda be a 10 if it didn't come out on the Switch? If it only came out on Wii U, would Zelda be a 10?
Not with the Switch being there, probably not.
No, but if the Switch, if Zelda,
the Switch wasn't in the picture, at all,
if Zelda was only
probably
Wii U,
wouldn't have reached a 10.
No, because people would be shitting on.
Oh, if this game had come out on the Wii U,
only.
it would have been non-existent.
Yeah,
not non-existent, but it would be like 6 out of 10 or something like that. Like
for sure. And let me argue this, because every podcast I listen to, people are like, I basically just played it on my Switch in handheld mode. It was still great. Quite honestly, Zelda in handheld mode was the worst version of the game. The Wii U game performed better than Zelda in handheld mode. And so, like, everybody's saying, well, I just, like, on the Wii U, it's not the best running version of the game. And it's like, well, technically speaking, if you only played it in handheld mode, you weren't really actually playing the best running version of the game. And so, like, I just, like, people hated the Wii U, and they shit on the Wii U, and if Zelda only came out on the Wii U, it would be a 6 out of 10. It would.
Yep. It definitely would.
But because the Switch came out and people like, this is what Nintendo really wanted from the Wii U. This is a great fucking thing. You got people out buying $70 Pro controllers, $200 memory expansions, $45 fucking carrying cases, $80 fucking Joy-Cons, yada, 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 yada. Game ports, $60 a game port. Skyrim, $60. People are buying that motherfucker. Skyrim. It just drives me up.
Same like Mario Kart. The remake of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. It was the exact same game.
Tropical Freeze.
Don't get me started on Skyrim.
Tropical Freeze is going to be $60. Like, who the fuck are these people? Who are buying these games at $60? I'm sorry, I'm getting upset, but it bothers me because I don't even barely touch my Switch.
But I mean, to argue with the Mario Kart, like I bought Mario Kart because I didn't have a Wii U, so like for me it was like, oh cool, I get Mario Kart now, but like I don't have a Wii U, so like for me it was kind of awesome to be able to go purchase it for my Switch.
I had the Wii U. I ended up, I mean, it took me a while to decide to go to the Switch, but I ended up like selling all my stuff, and I'm like, it's the same stuff. It kind of got me mad because I really wanted to keep my Wii U, but I'm like, you know what, I might as well invest for the future. So I sold all them, and I had so many games on the Wii U. I had so many controllers. I had freaking like, I had the whole set for the Wii U, right? Well, and now I had to sell it all to get the same exact games I could get on the Switch.
What Nintendo should have done to help mitigate that a little bit would have been, if you own the game on the Wii U, you are able to go do a digital download on the Switch. Like if it's the same game,
at least
say
offer
Mario
a discount,
Kart.
right? Like, see Madden, when I get Madden every year, which I shouldn't, but they offer a trade-in and you get extra credit. Because I need that new roster, man. But seriously, like, I get a discount, right? And I don't feel as bad anymore. I'm like, okay, I'm not paying full $60, and my other game is now not worth $1, right? I traded in, and you would have hoped they would have give some kind of deal. Hey, for the Wii U buyers, and all these remakes they keep making, like the Tropical Freeze for $60, like. A remake, like the PS4, the remaster they made for Crash, for Ratchet and Clank,
$30, $40, yeah.
But I mean, Ratchet and Clank,
but I mean,
the new one that's coming out, the Purple Dragon. I can't think of the name.
Spyro.
Spyro.
I think it's Spyro.
And guess what? They're all $40 because it's a remake.
So but like if you were to try and go like. For instance, like I tried to boot up Crash Bandicoot, okay, like the original, and it looks god awful on today's screens. It is horrendous. So paying for like those remastered video games that are truly remastered, like the Insane Trilogy, I'm gonna go buy the Spyro trilogy.
So will I, but I wouldn't buy it at $60 though.
Exactly, I would definitely.
No, but they don't release them at $60.
Not on other systems they don't, but on Nintendo consoles they do.
Nintendo, all the reboots have been $60.
That's my biggest problem. That's my biggest problem with the Switch, because let me tell you the list of games so far that have come out on the Switch are coming out at $60. Hold on, let me pull it out. And both of you are going to be like, oh yeah, that's fucked up. I'm not going to pay $60 for that.
Yeah, there will be plenty of people that will.
There will be, but you know what? I would have bought them all at $40. But on principle alone, there's no way. So let me read them. Skyrim, $60. Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze, $60. South Park, $60. Pokken Tournament, $60. Doom, $60. Wolfenstein, $60. Fire Emblem Warriors, $60. That's a fucking 3DS game.
Fire Emblem Warriors is its own game that was made for both. And
okay, Hyrule Warriors coming out at the end of May, $60. Okay, that's 8 games at $60 that I won't buy on principle alone. But $39 I would have bought them all.
Okay, I'm going to make an argument for South Park. South Park came out on all the other consoles first. The Switch comes out. They finally port it to the Switch. Shouldn't they be able to get $60 there?
No, they shouldn't.
Only if it's selling $60 on the PlayStation.
It's $39. It's $39 on the PlayStation 4 right now.
Then there's a problem.
It should be the same price. It should be the same price. It should be the same price. Retail price is the current price on other consoles.
Well, I'm not going to argue that. I'm just saying.
Lego City Undercover. Lego City Undercover was $29.99 on the Wii U when it came out and other consoles. When it came out on the Switch, it was $59. South Park, $39.99 right now, retail on other consoles. $59 on the Switch. Fuck that. That's bullshit.
But did the Switch end up releasing it late? Did it get ported late?
What?
Which I think it did.
South Park, yeah. South Park just came out this week.
Correct. So don't you think that they should be able to both make money for like Nintendo to make money and for Ubisoft to make money on that game the Switch because they put in the development time to port it over to the portable platform?
No, I don't think they should. No, I don't. I don't think they should be able to sell it at $59.99 because at $39.99 I would buy it just to have it on the Switch. At $59.99 for a $39 game, which is arguably better on the other systems. Only getting the portable aspect of it? No, they shouldn't be selling it for That never happens. No, they shouldn't be selling it for $59.
Yeah, but what if they did something like for the first couple weeks they sold it for $60 and then they dropped it to inline? I understand that would piss people off, but they're trying to make their money because they put the investment into it after the fact. Now, if they came out on all platforms at the same exact time, okay,
then they have the right to sell it at $59.
Right. So
but remember, right? When it dropped to $39.99, right? That I don't know if there was like a plan date from Ubisoft that hey, this is when it's going to be $39.99. So when the Switch initially announced the game, they're going to make it $59.99, which is probably what the price of the game was on the other consoles. But now the one on the PS4 and stuff dropped. So I can agree. I can understand why it came at $60. The only things for me, like the remakes from like the previous consoles, if it's a brand new game, even though if it's a brand new game, that's the original price of the game. It will get a price drop eventually, like the other ones did after a certain amount of time. And plus, during the time of the release, we don't know what the price was. But the remakes, like Tropical Freeze, that's a $30 game. I mean, 40 sure.
Yeah. Because
but I don't know how much more work. Because
even Last of Us Remastered or Uncharted, the fucking entire collection, $39 when it hit PS4, right? They could have charged $39.
You know what? Funny thing is, I think at 60 people would be glad to play who never did. But still,
that's them rebooting their own IP.
But Nintendo's
own it.
Yeah, but Nintendo's doing the Uncharted. Yeah, but that's when PS4 came out, Uncharted or Last of Us moved to PS4, and it was way better graphically, and they included the DLC, and it was only $39 for a $60 game. You gotta, but now you see what I'm saying.
But I think that's the Nintendo effect with games. Like I've noticed.
But that's what I'm saying. But where were all these fucking people? Where were all these people when the Wii U was out? Where were all these Nintendo lovers? These people that will just aimlessly spend $60 on old ass games. Where were these people when Nintendo was dropping brand new games, great games on the Wii U? Where were they?
We've kind of derailed from our Zelda conversation.
No, well, maybe we did.
We were supposed to be tearing Zelda apart.
We can't.
Like Zelda.
Maybe. Sure. But I'm just saying, like, I'll give you guys this. I get the South Park argument. I do, but like at the same time, let's just pretend you only own a Switch and you're like a parent or a little kid, and you just got them the Switch. Not even a little kid, because it's South Park. Never mind. The little kid shouldn't be playing South Park. Let's just say you only have a Switch. You're an adult. You only have a Switch. And all of a sudden you see South Park's fucking on all the time on sale for like $20. And then Nintendo drops it and they're like $60. Eventually you're going to be like, fuck this thing. This is crap. But Nintendo people continue to pay the money. And I love Nintendo. I have every Nintendo published game on the Wii U. I have thousands of dollars in fucking NES and Super Nintendo games. I love Nintendo. But I'm done. I'm done with it. I'm not going to pay $60 on these games anymore. I'm not gonna.
All right.
Well, are you going to pay $60 on another docking station?
I'm going to go.
Plastic.
I'll go off on a tangent here. I guess related to Nintendo. That Labo, or whatever the fuck it's called. What the good fuck? I saw it in action. Okay, so I work for a nonprofit where we host the largest gaming event here in Minnesota, and holy shit, we bought one of these, and I could not believe how stupid this thing is. We paid $80 for some cardboard and some string.
Oh, I feel the exact opposite, Tony. Go on your tangent, because I feel the exact opposite.
So fucking stupid. The games are terrible that come with it. They're just clunky and stupid. Like we got this mech one where you've got this backpack on and you're just walking around breaking shit. It's dumb as fuck. You wasted $80 on cardboard. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah. I don't agree.
So
I don't agree at all with you on that one, Tony. Let me tell you why. And I think we're going to agree with each other on this, because what you just said, I 100% agree with as 35-year-old Mike. But if I was fucking 12-year-old Mike, I think that experience is probably worth $70. Because I could argue, like, I just bought God of War, and this optical disc in plastic case is only worth... I just paid $60 for some plastic and a CD. Like, you're paying for the experience.
Hey, Mike, I'm gonna. You can say what you have to say, but I'm with Tony on it. And I'm now, granted, I've looked at only one review, but it was based on children's experience. But you go ahead and say what you have to know.
No, go ahead. I haven't. Let me be fair. Let me be 100% clear. I have not even touched a Labo, so
I have not touched Labo. However, I've looked into it. I was looking into it before it came out. Even after it came out, I watched some review. I watched a video review, and I read into it. And from an adult standpoint, yeah, this is definitely not for you.
Okay.
Okay. However, let me just put one more thing in here for Mike. Okay. You are aware that children aren't going to be purchasing this, right? This is $80 worth of cardboard.
Right.
What adult human is going to do that?
Right, but that's what I would say is what adult human's going to pay $60 for plastic and an optical disc. I think the expectation is that the experience is worth the $70 or $80 to be able to spend that time with your kids. Now, if that experience isn't like, for me, it's not about what's in the box as much as like, is the experience worth it for my kids? And this is going opposite of what you guys are saying, but what I'm hearing is the experience isn't worth it. But
is or isn't?
Is not worth it.
It's not worth it.
Now, so from what I heard, right, with the kids, so the initial experience when you're setting up this cardboard, it takes like a couple, like if you're building with the kids, not yourself, it takes a couple hours.
It took 3 adults 4 hours.
Okay, so
don't even go there. Like, we were gonna rip the damn thing.
Apparently Tony's a kid then, so it takes the kids
it's flimsy ass cardboard. It's a pain in the ass. The perforations don't rip. Like, you're gonna destroy the damn thing.
They don't.
So for you, it's a pain in the ass. Like for the parent to do a building project with the kid, that experience, it's a very good experience with the kid. You know, you get that family time now. But I heard that feeling, it wears off, right? At 2-3 hours, okay. But now you get to the game, right? And from the games, they're very. It's one of those mobile games from before, like very simple. Like it gets repetitive after like the first 5-10 minutes. Where the first time, like the catching the fish, right? When you catch your first fish, like you get that the shark or whatever that you get that big excitement, right? But then it's the same thing over and over. And a lot of the games I was looking into, they're really cool in the beginning, but then you get bored of it eventually, and then you're like, now what?
Right.
Because they don't progress any further, right? It's just the repetitive. And it's and one thing when I saw the Labo come out, I never really thought about it as a game. To me, it felt like a tech demo of Nintendo showcasing what their equipment is capable of, like a beta, like where this could go. This technology they're using can be eventually used into something else. But to me, the Labo was just like a test. That's what I thought it was. That's what I feel like it is, a test to what their sensors, because the way the sensors work, it's really cool. Like there's one where you attach it to like a cardboard thing and you move it, so it's like a remote control car or remote control robot or something. It is pretty cool. In the ability of what you can do with what they give you, it's definitely cool. But the games, that's what gets boring, or it gets repetitive. And but I do appreciate the technology they use and how they use it. But to me, this is just a test. I think this is a beta into what, and maybe they're just trying to figure out, okay, what can we innovate to the next level, like how they figured out with the Wii, that innovation that,
or how can they figure out a way to make us pay $80 for cardboard?
Right.
I mean, there is that. I mean, I know that it's not apples to oranges when I say we pay X amount of money for plastic, because that is the delivery vehicle for the games we play. I mean, this is an example where Nintendo figured out a way to take the plastic steering wheels we bought for the Wii and all the other bullshit like fishing rods and stuff we bought for the Wii, and then Nintendo went, hey, you know what? We can make these same things out of cardboard. make the consumer actually build them themselves and feel good about it.
We could get rid of our plastic mold injecting site and just give them some fucking cardboard to play with.
You know what I mean? But I'll say this. I'm going to say
cheaped out.
I think I do agree with both you on this, actually, after hearing it. But I think that, like, as a parent, if my daughter was, let's say, 5 or 6, old enough to do this thing, 7, whatever the age would probably be 7 or 8, right? I'd probably buy it to just, even if I threw it in the trash, just to spend that time like doing something constructive. And I think that's actually a big selling point for people, but I don't think that changes the fact that, like, you could probably go download some diagrams on the internet and have that same amount of fun with your child folding cardboard or doing origami or a variety of other things that don't require the Nintendo Switch. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I think that's the biggest piece is, like, I think as a parent, we all want ways to interact and enjoy spending time with our children. But the internet's a pretty vast place, and, like, does it really need to be spent on the Nintendo Switch? And do we really need to be folding cardboard into pianos, in which most of the time it sounds like it's probably actually more complicated than an 8 or 9-year-old's going to be able to do themselves anyway. So sometimes it does sound like, oh, the parents are going to have to build it, then the kid's going to get to play it, and then yada, 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 and it's probably all crap anyway.
It requires more finesse than an adult male has. Like, straight up, I was raging. Okay. I wanted to rip the damn thing apart.
Really? Okay.
Say fuck this.
I'll probably buy it just so I can have a more accurate opinion on the conversation. But like I said, I haven't touched it.
I thought about it, but then because I do know it's something that I would play it for the first few hours or less and never touch it again. Kind of like the 1-2 switch game. Like, it's cool in the beginning, but then it just wears off.
Yeah. Right. 1-2 Switch should not have been a $60 game, but
that
anyway.
I had fun with 1-2 Switch, but I paid $60 for it, and that actually started a downfall for me as far as spending $60 on Nintendo games.
I'm also gonna plug in the fact that Bethesda needs to pull their head out of their asses. Stop porting Skyrim to every goddamn platform on the goddamn planet and just make Elder Scrolls 6.
Well, I think it is.
For fuck's sake.
I think it is. I hope.
I'm hoping that gets announced at E3.
All right, so that circles us back around. I think for the next podcast, we might have to get back into the Zelda stuff. But, like, that was always my biggest argument was, like, I would just rather play Skyrim. Like, anytime I was playing Zelda, I was like, okay, this is a open world where I'm running around and running way too much. Here's, actually, let's get back to Zelda. You know what actually drove me nuts about Zelda? Is, like, having stamina to run. And I'm like, I don't want to be running all the time. And they're like,
hey,
well,
Tony,
that's...
don't complain. Final Fantasy had that too, but you can continue, Mike.
No, I just wanted to say that bothered me.
I'm gonna backhand you, Cosm. It was not the same.
It wasn't the same. Actually, what I played of Final Fantasy was actually really good. I just didn't, like, at the time I didn't have time to get through it. But All right, let's go here, because we went on a tangent. I don't even know what we were going to talk about again. So let's pivot into this. And we'll reconvene, because we'll definitely do another one of these. I do want to pivot into this, though, because Cosm, we grabbed lunch the other day, and you wanted to go into Ni no Kuni. And I played like half of the first one. Tony, did you play Ni no Kuni?
I played the first one.
You played the first one, and then and then Cosm played. You finished the second one, Cosm.
Yep.
And so actually, let's go. I want to pull up the Metacritic on this one just for some context.
Oh, I already did.
What is it?
I'm going to guess Ni no Kuni
it's
2
85, 85 and users 82.
Okay, really? Okay, Cosm, go.
To me, oh my god, this game is a 6.5, and this is not a good.
The cordless revolution has arrived.
Hold on, because Cosm, a 6.5 is favorable if we were using Rotten Tomatoes. I'm bullshitting. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, well, okay, and there are good parts in the game, which is why I give it a 6.5. Like the good part. Okay, man, and this is when Ni no Kuni 2 worries me of the future of JRPG games, because if people are saying this is a good game, I'm worried about the next JRPG game. Number one, the story. It to me, it didn't really have it. I don't know why it was even called Ni no Kuni 2. It was based in the same world, and I believe it said it was a sequel, but it really... are we giving spoilers? Should I give like a spoiler alert over here?
Let's not go too far.
Didn't we disclose that spoilers could happen at the start of this?
We did, but I was okay.
I'll go basic. Hold
on. Yeah. Hold on. Just let me say, I don't want to do spoilers for two reasons. I'm gonna end up playing the game.
Okay.
I will end up playing the game, and B, I don't want to go that far into spoilers. Like, we didn't spoil anything so far. And then the other thing I do want to say, let's start with the things that we loved about Ni no Kuni 1, because just real quick, the first Ni no Kuni for me really went like, here's this cartoon, super engaging, super good voice acted game that has a new spin on combat that gives you some exploration, has this really cool overworld, and somehow ties the overworld story to the kind of the underworld story of in Ni no Kuni 1, let's give some spoilers, with the passing of your mom. Right? And all of a sudden I'm going like, that fucking story was so good, I can't wait for Ni no Kuni 2. Would you guys agree with my synopsis on Ni no Kuni 1 and why we loved it?
I mean, yeah.
Or did you not love
it? No, I love the original.
Okay.
What I would say about Ni no Kuni 1 that made me just instantly draw to it is I'm a huge Studio Ghibli fan. I love Miyazaki's work. And the fact that Level 5 is owned by Studio Ghibli, and it is their artwork being put into it. It's basically, I'm getting to play through a Studio Ghibli film.
Yeah.
And for me, it was just surreal. And, the gameplay was great. I didn't have any problems with the gameplay. I didn't have any problems with the story. It just felt like I was inside of the mind of Miyazaki, and it was great. That's what really drew me to that game. So I don't have anything to touch on for Ni no Kuni 2. I'll probably have to borrow it from someone to play through it.
You're welcome to take mine any day.
All right.
But I'd like to experience it as well at some point.
All right, I'm gonna try my best, and I'll stop myself.
All right, so light spoilers for anybody listening right now. Light spoilers. You're good on light spoilers.
You know what? Sometimes like a good game, or like the first one, right? Initially, like story wise, to me, what makes a good story is you have a reason to play because you're like, oh my god, I need to figure out what happened. Like with the first one, with the mom, like the way the world starts, everything is happy and normal, and all of a sudden the sad event happens with the mom, and then you're like, you want to bring the mom back, and you want to figure out now you have a cause, right? The second one, it starts with it has a decent intro. It really does. I mean, the intro was good. I mean, but what kind of disappointed me as the game kept going, number one, I thought the gameplay really lacked. They evolved it, but then they fell flat. When I say evolved it, many people, I don't know, some people did complain about the first one. They didn't like the Pokemon style, the familiars, where you had to level up the familiars and battle with them. Some people weren't fan of that. I was able to get over that, and I enjoyed it. But the second one, they evolved it. It felt more like an action JRPG game where you have like your primary sword. God of War's battle is what Ni no Kuni 2 should have been. Because Ni no Kuni was trying to do what God of War has with the battle, where you have your quick attack, your heavy attack, and a range attack. But they fell flat in the gameplay, where none of that mattered.
Can you explain one thing that I've seen? Is there's these little pigman type creatures? What the hell are they?
And the one reason why I'll say I liked the game, the only thing, it had the charm of the first one. And it had the charm, and that's what kept me playing. And the gameplay was really easy, so I loved being in that world and environment. So that's one reason why I liked it. But they kept adding things like the thing you called higglings or hibblings or something. That's what they're called. And if they took that aspect out, I think it wouldn't make a difference. I don't think those things were necessary for the game. They just wanted to do something different, and I don't think that was necessary. Like you have to take care of another aspect of the game with those little things, because the way it works in the game is you have your crew, and then you have these whatever those things are. You can customize them. They have abilities to attack, heal, and once in a while they'll have an action item where you press X or whatever, and they'll do a special attack to your enemy. So they're kind of these things on the side. But you don't really, again, and there's so many. I mean, you can get so many of these, and then you're like, oh, which one do I do? But again, it's something that wasn't needed, right? And the battle, I feel like, was not optimized, where it didn't matter which character you were using. It felt like you were doing the exact same thing. To me, in a JRPG, what made JRPGs, which was when you had a JRPG game, like you always like, who should I play as? You would keep trying out different characters.
It's very tactical. You're planning it. Exactly. What build do I want? How do I want to build this guy out?
The typical is like you have your swordsman or an archer, a ninja, a white mage, a black mage, an axeman. But this one, I won't. It's not really a spoiler, but none of your crew is a healer. And the only way to heal yourself in this game is by using items, or those mini pick-me characters that you have, where they will do an action item and you go in there and then they'll heal you. But so it took that aspect of it took the tactical aspect out of it, where it didn't matter who you played with; it felt the same, and the gameplay wise, that's why that was one part of the gameplay which failed for me. Why does it matter who I play with? It just feels like it looks like a different person, but it feels like I'm fighting with the same exact person. Story wise, I felt like it fell flat because there were loopholes throughout. I just feel like the story fell flat. There was no reason for the story to be there. The sound was great. The charm, it had the charm of the first one. It felt like they tried to bring back that charm, but they were bringing back a few aspects of the previous game, but it just didn't fit. And when the game ended, I was over the game. I mean, the soundtrack was still in my head, but I was over the story right away.
Did it feel so? Did it feel like they rushed it, or like they ran out of time?
No, I don't think it was anything to do with rushing, because I don't think no matter how much time they would have had with the way the story setting and the gameplay, I don't think they could have done anything different. I mean, I think this is what they set out to do, and don't think they did it well. So I don't think this one had anything for it to be rushed. I just think it wasn't. It wasn't a good game.
Can you can you hit more on the also the like town or the fort building aspects?
So my problem with gaming is I grind like crazy. I spend way too much time. Like I have to get this item. So they found a perfect way to waste people's time, where it's like a castle building, like one of those mobile games or the old or like Age of Empires, where you're building your empire or whatever. And this was a huge issue with some gamers, because at some point of the game you are forced to evolve your castle to a certain point, otherwise you can't go further. So I was doing enough side missions ahead of time and building up my castle earlier, so I didn't run into this issue. But I read some people where they didn't care about that, because you really don't need to, and they got to a point again like, oh, you need to upgrade your castle to level 3, example, and you have to do like 30 side missions to get there. And they were like, forget that, I'm not going to do that. Or some people actually tried. Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of side stuff. This game it reminded me of Zelda in a little bit. One part was where there are too many items, right? Nothing felt special. Like if you took a side turn to a different path, you would always find a hidden item. So you almost sometimes you skip areas because like, oh, I can't be bothered. But now you're like, oh, if I do skip this tiny area, there's gonna be an item over there. And there's so many items, right? It's overloaded with items. And then on top of the chests that they put out in every hidden corner, they have random items spread out all over the world. Like the shiny thing, you just go there and you press X and you get an item. Or you just walk over it, actually, you get the item. And it's just all over. And it's like, it's tedious. I don't want to ruin it for you guys, but this was a game where I feel like it was a huge letdown from the first one. Like the whole time I kept complaining about why did they do this? Why did they do that? Like there's so many ways they could have. I don't know if they could have improved the story in any ways. Like the character and the other thing, lack of voice acting. That's another negative thing. I've played games.
Was it worse than the first game?
The voice acting?
Yeah.
Definitely. Uncomparably worse.
I thought the first one actually was okay, all things considered.
The voice acting, the first one, and not just the voice acting, the lack of voice acting. The first game felt like a movie. I mean, to be honest, my wife played the first game, and I watched the whole thing, and I played the boss fights for her. It felt like we're watching a movie. The second one, there would be, like, usually when you get introduced to a new character, they give you a nice introduction, like where there's a voice acting, there's a scene. This one, like, it's a quick 10-second scene with no audio. I mean, no voice acting, and then you're reading text. And I'm okay with reading text, but this is a lot of text that you have to read. Where there were so many points in the game where I literally skipped it. I was just next. I'm like, I don't need to read all this. Like, it's way too much reading. Where it's like, but when the voice acting comes in, you're like, this is so good. Why didn't you keep it going? Like the whole time when a voice acting would start, like a scene, I'm like, please keep it going, and boom, they would cut it to read a text to read, and I'm like, you just killed the immersion. Like I was getting into it, and now I have to read all this, and
I wonder if they did that to save some cost, because voice acting is definitely more expensive.
So, yeah, maybe that could have been that was a rush thing where they couldn't do all of that, and I'm hoping this is not one of those things where later down the DLCs or patches will come in where they'll add more voice acting. But it was just lack of voice acting, which it would have made the game more entertaining, even though the story lacked. I would have been more engaged. I was trying to beat the game in a rush to get ready for God of War, to be honest, and it was an easy game to beat, which is why I could do it. I did spend about 50 hours on the game, which is more than average. People took about 30 hours, but like I said, I like to do side missions, which I had fun. It was fun doing it, but it just there was no what do you call when like and no sense of urgency. Like, oh my god, I can't wait to figure out what's going to happen next if I go do. Oh, and fetch quests. This game is a fetch quest. It's a fetch-a-thon, if that's a word.
It's a word now.
You're doing fetch quests 90% of the time. I mean, literally for this one person, I had to do 3 different fetch quests, and all it was for her to get lipstick, for her to give me information on something, which was right then and there in that area anyways. But no, she had... this game is full. Oh, go get me this item. Then I'll tell you something else. Okay, now you can go to this person.
I don't think I want to play this now. I got to be honest.
I'll be very honest.
It sounds like a bunch of stuff I don't want to do.
I actually would not suggest people to play this because it's such a disappointment, especially if you've played the first one.
Sounds like Zelda.
It's actually worse than Zelda. Yeah, that's tough. I don't know. Those 2 games really pissed me off. And see, again, this game pissed me off because of the reviews. It got such great reviews, and I was like, oh my god, this is exciting. It did good. And I'm playing it, and I'm like, this game is bad. How did this game get a 9 out of 10 on any review? Oh man. I mean, I can go on. I mean, I'm probably ruining for it, but then there's no point of exploration because you can pretty much fast travel everywhere, and I fast travel like crazy. There was no reason for me to walk to one place to another. Once you've been to a place, boom, you can. It was so easy to fast travel, and then when you get your ship, it's pointless. You don't really need to use the ship or your boat. You have fast travel. I guess. So. I honestly don't recommend the game. See, like I said earlier, if you have a PS4, get God of War. But Ni no Kuni, more than welcome to skip it. You're not missing out. If you played the first one, you kind of have to, because especially if you like the first one. But as you play into it, you will start realizing, okay, this is what it. And you will be able to stop it and be like, nope, I'm good. I was kind of sad while playing it. I mean, I was hoping it would get better, and it just didn't. It did start out well. The first few hours were pretty good, and then it just kept dropping down the scale. So, and guess what? I bought the collector's edition. So yay!
I almost pre-ordered.
Did you get a cool little statue with it then?
You know that statue thing, whatever So in the first one you have what is Drippy. In this game, the thing that you get is called Lofty. It is so pointless and annoying. God, and the first time it introduces itself, no voice at all. I remember when Drippy got introduced, the way it started talking, because it woke up with the tears of the kid, and you're like, whoa, this is freaking creepy and weird, and the accent, you're like, the Irish. Exactly, it was amazing. But this one, so there's no voice acting when it gets introduced, and then when it talks, it's trying to force that Irish, Scottish, sorry, I don't know the difference, the accent out of nowhere, and you're like, yeah, you're just trying to do a cut and paste, trying to make it like the other one, but there's literally no connection, and it randomly goes crikey, trying to force these cool sounding things. And I'm like, it's actually annoying. Just shut up. You're not needed here. Oh god, that's so annoying. I'm so mad. So yeah, let me know who wants it. I'll send it to you.
I mean, maybe if my time frees up, I'm going to be playing God of War.
Yeah, I definitely want to finish God of War. I'm like, that's my lock. I'm gonna play it after this, to be honest with you.
Man,
I might do the same.
Like, dude, for the last 2 weekends, I've been playing it till 5 to 7 a.m. Actually, Saturday morning, I slept at 7 playing. The only reason I passed out is because I had to upgrade my equipment, and I was too tired to figure out what I wanted to do, and I was like, okay, I guess this is my time to go to bed. But once I get into it, I definitely can't stop playing, because it is a super fun game.
God of War?
It is a really good game. Not a masterpiece, but definitely a good game. I'm having a lot of fun with it.
So, guys, what would be? I'm gonna take the conversation in a little bit different direction here, if you don't mind. But do you got 3 to 5 games you're excited for this year?
Oh, 3
coming out.
Man, you caught me on the spot.
What's coming out?
I know mine. Do you want me to just start this?
Well, yeah, go ahead.
Does it have anything to do
sure.
with Fire Emblem? Go ahead.
I mean, definitely. Well, you kind of hit one there.
Octopath Warrior or Octopath Traveler.
Oh, that's one of yours?
Oh yeah, easy.
One of mine is definitely going to be the new Fire Emblem for Switch, whatever the hell it's going to be titled. They haven't announced anything yet. Soul Calibur 6, big one. I'm really hoping they announce Borderlands 383 this year, because that I will be all over. I don't know how you guys feel about Borderlands, but I have sunk countless hours into the first two games. Definitely excited for Smash Brothers.
Another Wii U game.
Switch. No, the new Smash Brothers.
It's going to be a Wii U remake with new characters.
It is not going to be a I'm going to slap the crap out of you.
Nobody knows yet, but anyway, yeah, go for it.
And so what do I got now? That was 4. So I guess 5 would probably be the new Pokemon, new gen Pokemon.
Yeah,
I know that's going to be
kind
of a little
this year, but I'm all in on that.
I'm with you. All right, for me, how are you not going to say Spider-Man, dog? I know in complaining, I know in complaining about like God of War, it sounds like we hate video games, but Spider-Man for me.
Dude, I it's not that I'm excluding Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I definitely
not on your list. Not on your list.
There's 2 games.
Oh, I thought we were doing 5. I thought you hit 5. I thought we were doing 5.
Oh, all right, let's do 5. Okay,
I did hit 5.
All right, Tony, let's see what you got.
I already hit all 5. Go.
Sorry, Mike. You guys sound. Yeah.
All right, for me, I gotta go Spider-Man. Like even as much as I've said like games feel the same or yada yada, like Spider-Man for me, that game looks fucking incredible. I cannot wait to play that. I'm gonna go off the wall here. As much as I was kind of complaining about the Switch, dude, I'm gonna smash the hell out of some Mario Tennis.
I was just looking into that.
I'm gonna smash the hell out of Mario Tennis. I will.
Goddamn!
I will play so much Mario Tennis. I loved Mario Tennis on Wii U.
I'm putting Death Stranding into my top 5. I'll knock something out.
That's not gonna, dude. Death Stranding's not hitting in 2018. There's no way.
You sure?
No, there's no way in hell. Octopath Traveler, like that fucking art style and just that looks amazing to me.
I don't even think I've heard anything about it.
Oh, you gotta go, dude. Go and then Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Mm-hmm. And Red Dead Redemption 2.
That's what I was
easy.
I'm probably gonna get like killed by both of you. I haven't even played the first one.
You have not played the first Red Dead Redemption?
Yes. You know what? I haven't either. And let me tell you something about that. Zelda, I never really played the previous one. Disappointed. God of War, never played the previous one. Not disappointed, but overhyped, right?
Here's the deal. However, go ahead.
With Red Dead Redemption, I feel like I'm hoping the same thing doesn't happen, where they say it's a masterpiece.
It might,
playing it, and I feel, I'm like, this is going to be the whole Zelda effect, and it's going to do that, and I'm going to get it.
If you never played it, it might, because I actually just started replaying it, and I was like, this is fucking amazing, because I played the first one.
The first one? Do you think I should play the first one?
You should definitely play the first one. You should definitely.
Dude, Octopath Traveler looks sick.
I'll
give you that.
I feel like
Red Dead Redemption had one of the greatest endings to a video game that I've ever. Yeah, you're gonna know. I'm gonna tell you, you're gonna know within the first 2 hours if it's for you. You'll know within the first 2 hours.
And I don't mind trying the first one out. The only thing I'm worried about is okay, I beat the first one. Do I need a break before the next one? Because sometimes I don't want to feel like it's repetitive all over again, right?
That doesn't really happen with Rockstar games. I think you're going to be fine. But if you're going to play Red Dead Redemption, I would say you should probably knock it out right now.
Wait. Repetitive doesn't happen with Rockstar games.
Not as far as the stories go. Like maybe this is just me. I could go back to back to back to back on the fucking Grand Theft Auto games.
Okay.
Their stories don't mean shit to me.
No, they don't.
Honestly,
they don't.
It's not much about a story, but it's just a lot of fun.
They don't. But there's always a carrot. There's always a carrot that makes me want to continue playing in the Rockstar games. Like, there's always a reason for me to continue to play, and it's super addicting. I agree that yes, they are repetitive. Yes, that was probably the wrong phrasing. But it was 100% the wrong phrasing. You're right. But I think for Rockstar games, there's always a carrot that I'm like Cosm, like when you're saying like what a 10 is for the Rockstar games, for me, it's always like, I'm going to just turn it off after this next mission. And then like 6 missions later, I'm like, I'm just going to turn it off after I go fucking do this. And you know what I'm saying? Like that is Red Dead Redemption.
Yeah, that makes me want to, and I'm super psyched, and I will definitely get the first one. And talking about top games, both of you missed out on a game. However, I don't blame you because I don't think this game is going to come out this year. And the fact that I've said that part, I think you know what I'm talking about. Kingdom Hearts 3.
Oh yeah, no, come on.
I know. Well, I have a cousin.
We're all waiting for that.
I have a cousin who's a die-hard fan, and if it comes out, he's gonna be bawling with joy. And
I mean, Square Enix has the potential of just dropping it like they did with Final Fantasy 15. Like no one was expecting Final Fantasy 15 to just get released at their press event. They just did it. They're like, here, go. And it was just like, okay, they could do something like that out of the blue. For Kingdom Hearts, they could.
And that is the number one game I've been looking forward to if it does come out. And other than that, it's Red Dead Redemption and Spider-Man. Yeah, I mean, those are some big games.
You ain't got 2 more? Shadow of the Tomb Raider, dog. You're going to play that.
See, I've never played the first 2. My wife's beaten the first 2.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, because you weren't big on Uncharted. You weren't big on Uncharted, so...
Yeah, so she's...
Yeah, I like the Uncharted games, but I wasn't ever a big fan of Tomb Raider. Like,
what about
the same game?
What about Detroit? Did either of you play the demo for Detroit Become Human?
I did. I really want to try that.
Me too.
A chance to play the demo. I'm actually really excited about that game.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Hoping.
When is that?
There are a lot of good games.
That's this month, I think.
And
is it?
Yeah, that's this month. May 25th. May 25th.
What?
And see, and I love games like that. Like I was a huge fan of Beyond Two Souls.
Yeah.
Like and I'm hoping this game will be exciting. Oh, I did not know it's coming out this soon. So that is crazy.
I honestly had no idea when it was coming out. So that's awesome. That's a great surprise.
I'll say this too, as like a huge racing fan. I know the Crew 2 is dropping, and I'm pretty sure, hopefully, still this year we'll get a Forza Horizon, another Forza Horizon. Which I'm assuming.
As long as I can play it on PC, I'll be happy.
Oh yeah, they're always on PC. That's how my whole racing seat's set up, man. I get all my racing games on PC now. So
right.
But,
yeah, I don't have an Xbox, so.
I might buy one just for Red Dead Redemption 1 and 2, so I can play the remake.
I got to tell you, man, the
Red Dead Redemption was on the PlayStation.
It was on Xbox as well. The Xbox.
No, I know, but what I'm saying is like, you don't need to go buy an Xbox.
No. But the reason I do is because they just remade the first one, but they just did a 4K patch on it.
It looks incredible. By the way,
and that's why I want to buy it. Because
it looks incredible.
Now, I don't know if that's the reason for me to go ahead and buy the...
I'm going to come over to your place then, Cosm, sit in your gaming chair and play some Red Dead.
Will Red Dead Redemption 2 be just on the Xbox?
I would actually, if you guys start playing through Red Dead Redemption, I will actually come over and watch that game. I love Red Dead Redemption. It's one of my favorite games of all time.
Will the second one be... is the second one Xbox exclusive or no?
No.
Okay.
But games play better on Xbox One X.
Yeah.
Yeah, use their stupid quote that doesn't mean shit.
I know.
Anyway.
Right on.
I don't want to... Yeah.
Oh, right on. Well, let's do this. I think we fucking went through a whole round of stuff that I didn't think we were going to get to. It was fun. I'm ready to close it out. How you guys feeling?
Yeah, I'm good.
We'll leave Zelda for another day.
We're going to rip it apart more in depth.
Yeah, no, we will.
We hit some key points, but I think we're going to tear it a new asshole.
I want to actually. I do want to spend more time on Zelda in the future. I thought we were rolling, so I thought that was a great conversation. But let's close out the show. I think we'll definitely do. This was fun, man. Did you guys have fun?
Oh yeah,
this is awesome, man.
Yeah, right on. Let's close out the show, and then we'll do this again. But for myself, this was a ton of fun. Serial at Night episode number 47, and actually for you guys, just to explain where I came up with the name Serial at Night for the podcast is I love cereal, and I used to eat it at night all the time. And for some, I always wanted to either name a band Serial at Night or a podcast, so I just named it a podcast. So that's why I call it cereal at night. But anyway.
Cereal's shit, man. I just had cereal yesterday.
I love cereal. But yeah, anyway, Tony, any last thoughts? Any parting notes you want to throw at everybody? Anything, man. Table's yours.
I don't know, man. I'm ready to get back into some God of War here.
Yeah, I'm jonesing too.
That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna break away from this and jump back on the game. I'm ready
I hate you because I would love to. I wish I could do that today, but I think I'm gonna have to call it a night.
Right on. All right, Cosmo, what do you got?
Well, this was fun. I can't wait for us to talk about more games and games. This was definitely awesome.
This is something we have to keep doing.
For sure. All right, everybody. Cereal at Night, episode number 47. I know I said 48 at the beginning, but it's episode number 47. Hopefully people join back to listen to the show, and we appreciate it. And so until then, see you next time.